Hey, this is Sam with Henhouse Coaching, where we believe you can build a business that builds your marriage. And out on a walk again, I wanted to recount an experience I had and a couple of lessons I've learned about how to handle criticism and especially how to deal with it when anxiety is involved. So, last week, we were coming home from just a little day trip that we took to a fun place in the valley that does baby animals for a couple days, and all the kids get to see them, and some of them you get to touch and play with a little bit. And so it was a good day. It was a good opportunity to spend some time with the family. And as we were coming home, the way our house is situated on the road is that if you approach it from one way, which is the way we did, it's necessary for us to pull into the median, which, given where our driveway is, it also is a left turn lane. Typically, this is not an issue for us to do that, just quickly pull into the median and turn into our driveway. But unfortunately this time, what happened was I pulled in to make my turn, and then just shortly after that, a family in their vehicle was pulling in to make that left turn, and they just started screaming at me. You could see they're just like instantly everyone's faces were communicating just how idiotic I was to have done what I just did, and what an inconvenience my existence was for them. And so there was a little bit of back and forth of just like, okay, I was here first. All it takes is for me to just turn. No, that wasn't good enough. I was in the wrong, and so I needed to get out of their way so that they can continue their legal and lawful day. So I had that experience. I just pulled around them and made the turn into the driveway without too much fuss. And I was just sitting there in shock for a little bit. I only communicated a little bit of how I was feeling to Miranda at the time, because it was also fresh. But what I noticed was just how sharp that experience was, but also how quickly it went away. Because for one thing, and this is what I want you to be thinking about in your own experiences, here are the things that I was able to do, the lessons I was able to learn from that experience. One of my more recent experiences with having to deal with criticism in a very emotional way is that I had to accept that I was going to ruminate about that event for at least a little bit. Like, you come up against that intense negative emotion from others directed at you, it takes a little bit for you to stop thinking about it. And obviously, for those who experience anxiety to varying degrees of severity, there's obviously a way for us to think about that event without letting it destroy us. So when I say accept that you're going to ruminate about that event for a little bit, that doesn't mean there's obviously a certain amount of time, a certain amount of energy spent in ruminating over a past event that is unhealthy. On the opposite end, which I think is if that were a more feminine response, then the more masculine response would be to just brush it off and say, I was right, they were wrong, they're dumb, I'm smart, and just move on. And any excess emotion there could be channeled into anger in other parts of your life for the next couple days. Well, obviously, neither of those things are good. We want a balanced response. We want to respond to criticism in a way that is actually healthy. So, first thing to do, I think, is to accept that it's going to take a little bit of processing to understand how you feel, what actually happened in that event. Because I, for one, felt like the amount of criticism I received was outsized given the action. And so it made me feel in the analysis like, oh, I wonder how that dad's day is going, who was the driver of the other car. Like, I wonder how his day is going, because obviously his entire family was quick to join in. It wasn't just like just the driver was yelling at me. It was instantaneously they all started yelling. And so you got to think, okay, maybe the other party, they were under a ton of stress that just exploded onto a stranger. And that happens, unfortunately. But it's better to have picked up on that piece of information than to continue thinking, oh, I did something wrong and they were 100% right, and I need to change to avoid that criticism in the future. I think criticism is unavoidable, and so being able to identify the criticism that is sincere. Okay, well, for those of you watching, you get a nice little sunbeam across my face this whole time. But first step, accept that you will analyze the situation. Accept the emotions that come, the frustration, the fear. The second part, yeah, you see something green, bud? Yeah. The second part, I think, is to, fully feel those emotions. First, accept that you're going to feel them, and then it's going to take some time to process. And then second is to let yourself feel those feelings. And not to judge yourself for it. Because right or wrong, those are the feelings you feel. And honestly, I think there are right and wrong ways to respond to feelings, but I don't think there are right or wrong feelings to have. So accept that you're going to be thinking about this stuff, accept that you're going to feel the feelings you feel, and then consider the lessons you've learned from that. Was it a genuine, needful criticism that came from a good place? In my instance, I wouldn't say so. I would say it was something of convenience for the other party, and for us, we need to be mindful of doing that ourselves. We need to be mindful of dishing out criticism in a way that's actually productive and from a good place. Because we could easily convince ourselves that the criticism we dish out to others is just what they need. They need a wake-up call. They need to really see the effects of their actions, and I'm the one to tell them. I think there is a place for correction, but I honestly believe that there are so many better ways to do it than, well, than to yell from your car, obviously. But if you want to yell, you can yell. But if you want somebody to understand and somebody to trust you enough to actually give them proper correction, that takes a lot of work. I would say, it takes a lot of energy from both sides to be able to do that. So when you're dealing with criticism, especially when you have anxiety, I think it's really important to know that there is a balance You can't just brush it aside. You can't just bury what you're feeling. But if you catch yourself thinking about a particularly heated moment of criticism, and you're thinking about this for days on end, I think you need to move on to the next step and accept the feelings you're feeling so that you can stop ruminating. There's such a thing as too much. And so, with that, yeah, the things I learned from that experience, because now all I have is sympathy for whatever that dad was feeling in the other car. Obviously, I don't think he was right to have done what he did or to encourage his family to do the same. But at the same time, what did I learn? Well, maybe that will help me change my behavior. Maybe that'll help me be more mindful of how my actions affect others. And so, with that, I want you and your partner to consider this. When's the last time that you received some criticism and it really cut you deep? Now, don't go back into that moment. Don't go digging up the past. What I mean is to reflect on moments where you've learned a similar thing. If you've learned something similar, let me know in the comments what it was you learned and how that has affected your relationship. So, all that said, this is Sam with Henhouse Coaching, and I'll see you in the next video.